Hi, I'm Sharon. In his video for the May Aphasia Toolbox newsletter, Bill discusses what is needed for aphasia recovery from a treatment perspective. I'd like to share my perspective with you. I am not an SLP. I'm a person recovered from aphasia. I'm a coach at Aphasia Toolbox. I work with clients and lead two conversational groups. I'm also the editor of the Aphasia Toolbox newsletter. Today I'll give you some details on my stroke and discuss things that I did that helped my recovery. My initial stroke caused my aphasia and also caused me to lose my ability to write at my pre-stroke level. In his video, Bill talked about some of the characteristics required for recovery. He said that faith and belief are key. I agree with him, but I also would add hope. Before I worked with Bill, I had been told by my first therapist and neurologist that I would not get any better. Apparently they thought I had already hit the aphasia plateau. They basically robbed me of hope. I knew, though, that I could and would improve. I just needed someone who believed in me. When I called Bill, he asked me what I wanted. I said that I wanted a full recovery. He didn't laugh. He didn't say that was impossible. He just said, let's get to work, and we did. Pre-stroke, I worked as a special librarian, a researcher, and a writer. Pre-stroke, of course, I had problems thinking about the words that I wanted to say, and if I did think of the word, then it was most likely not the correct word. So most people know what aphasia is, but I'm going to give you my definition of this. I just read an article by Lauren Marks, whose article in Nautilus was What My Stroke Taught Me. She basically said that I was no longer the narrator of my own life. And she said that because she also had aphasia and she lost the ability to think about the words that she wanted to say. And I kind of felt the same way, that I was not able to really describe who I was, what my life was about, and things like that. The last statement here is aphasia is different for each person, and we certainly see that is true, and that's why I'm telling you what my story is as well. My specific problems were, well, let's start with that first one, internal dialogue. I mentioned that I really didn't have words that I wanted to say in my head after the stroke. So I had lost that ability to have that dialogue going on in my brain. I basically had a big problem with anomia. I had a big problem with what I would call fuzzy semantics. If I thought of the word that I wanted to say, most likely that it was either not the right word or it was a different sound that I was looking for. Again, I also had some problem sounds. Not a lot, but enough to make a problem with the words that I wanted to say. When I did speak, my speech was very choppy, more like almost like a stutter, and I had lack of prosody as well. Some other problems included very slow cognition, a problem with attention and verbal working memory. When I created a sentence, it was generally an incomplete sentence. I might start with the subject, might have added a noun, but I most likely left the verb out. I was able to write, do some keyboarding, but I basically wrote very short sentences. And like Bill mentioned, I also had a problem with lack of faith in my own memory. Bill and I worked basically for a year and a half. The first year, July 2011 through July 2012, was to work on my memory, my cognition, my sentence structure, and also word recall. For phase 2, we focused primarily on my writing, but we worked on semantic exercises at the same time to help my writing. What I would like to share with you are some of the exercises that we did that helped my recovery as I talk about the concepts of being mindful and using neuroplastic concepts for recovery. Some of my favorite exercises included lighting up the lemma, verbing, nerbing, and hink pinks. When we talk about lighting up the lemma, the word lemma refers to the word that you have in your head before you open your mouth to speak. Now, I didn't have that much in my head, so I was not able to really think of the lemma. So this exercise actually helped quite a bit. So this is a semantic exercise. It was a fairly early exercise that we did, but lighting up the lemma helped me to listen, to visualize and recall sounds and words. This particular exercise is where we start with a category. In this case, I'm going to give you the category of fruit, and I'm going to give you a description. And you have to think about the word that you need to say. So one of the clues is this particular fruit is yellow. You peel it. Monkeys like this fruit. Do you see the word in your head? If you do, then that's the lemma. If you don't see it yet, I'll give you another clue. This particular word has 3 syllables, and it starts with a B sound. Can you see the word in your head now? Most likely you will have that word, and as we do this exercise with clients, they actually at that point they will really understand what the word is, and they're able to say it or try to say it. One of the other exercises that we worked on is verbing. Verbing helped me to understand the importance of action in a canonical sentence and to see and hear the verb slot in a canonical sentence. So for this exercise, we might say, what do you do with coffee? Now, for some of our clients, I might actually show them the gesture, and they have to think about what's that verb. Generally, some of our clients might actually say another noun, so that means they're kind of noun bound. So they may say coffee, tea. But what we're looking for is what you actually do with that word coffee, and we want them to say drink, perhaps buy, stir, something else, any other verb. Another exercise that we worked on is nurbing. The nurbing exercise helped me to understand how the same word could be used in different ways in a sentence. So for example, that first word is the word beat. As a noun, you could say the cop walks his beat. As a verb, we could say he beats his drum. One of my favorite exercises, and one that I think helped me the most, was the exercise Hink-Pinks. Hink-Pinks basically are rhyming word riddles. The answer to the riddle is a pair of words that rhyme with each other. This exercise helped me to hear sounds and rhymes, to understand the concept of synonyms, and it helped my word recall and semantics. I'm going to give you a clue. What is an overweight feline? So we want to think about, okay, which word might be the most common word, and then think about the synonyms that go along with that word. So I might say, well, feline, you could say lion, cat, cougar. For overweight, you might say big, fat, large. So I think the answer here might be fat cat. Some of the things that I want to talk about now is what aphasia recovery requires. Bill covered quite a bit in his video. I'm going to add a couple of other things. Therapists who stand by you and believe in you are important for your recovery. Grit and perseverance is important because aphasia recovery is not for sissies. You also need mindful and smart practice, and as Bill mentioned, to generate self-thought. I'm also going to talk about the topic of money. Bill and I worked using telepractice, and you know that telepractice is less expensive than face-to-face therapy. And that is how I was able to stretch my money to be able to fund my own recovery. So you're probably wondering, am I recovered? Well, I think my recovery is probably at about 85%, specifically for my speech and my writing. However, in some ways I am slower, especially with my reading, but it also depends on what I'm reading. I can read a newspaper probably within 20 minutes or less, but if I'm reading a scholarly article, then that takes a little bit longer. I also have a problem with fatigue once in a while. It kind of kicks in, and then I can't think about what I want to say at all. So normally when you talk about improvement, from day to day, as you work with Bill, he will actually show you how you're improving. What we also did was we measured my writing improvement. And this chart basically shows you what I did. So when I first started working with Bill, specifically on my writing, I was just about able to write slightly under 200 words in 6 to 7 hours, and that included research time. In September 2012, I was able to write about 800 words in just under 2 hours. Now I don't even think about what I write, I just write it. And I can generally write my first draft, a very rough draft, within about 25 to 35 minutes. Just a final note that I would like to leave with you. One of the important things, I think, for a person with aphasia and also the caregiver is that idea of patience. Patience for recovery. Also hope for recovery and believing in yourself. Recovery takes time. You have to work hard and have a lot of hope. You also have to take charge of what you want to do for your recovery, like I did. You need to be the pilot of your own recovery. And also I'm going to suggest that you pay it back. Help the person after you by being an aphasia advocate. Feel free to contact me. I'd like to share my story and discuss the differences with you between traditional therapy and neuroplastic aphasia therapy.